These are the eyeshadow palettes I reviewed in June. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today I have all the eyeshadow that I tested out for you for the first time in June. There are some drugstore bits here that I got in the UK. Then there are some indie bits that I got through MONOLITH as well. So let's find out how I fared with all of these eyeshadows. Shall we start in the drugstore? The drugstore was okay. I don't love these, but they are really good ones, especially if you are in a pinch. I picked up the Berry M Pot Twist when I was in the UK and the Troublemaker Soundcheck. So let's do the Pot Twist first. The Pot Twist is a 4-shadow little bento box type of thing. It twists open like this. They had 2 varieties. Of course, I had to go for the neutral one. So here is Cookie that you're looking at, and this is really pretty eyeshadow. It works, it swatches well, but I just found that this was a little bit too light almost. The deepest shade is a little bit too deep for me to be using it in my crease, and then everything else is just kind of light. So if you have very fair skin, you might like this. This is a little bit on the warmer side of things though. It's not a cool tone palette by any means. It's a good neutral. You get 2 mattes, 2 shimmers, so it works quite well from that perspective. What I did notice about this is that essentially it didn't really give me what I wanted. The shimmers in here aren't super impactful. They are pretty shimmers, don't get me wrong, but it just feels like cheap makeup. And this wasn't even that cheap, I feel. It's just that I've tried bento boxes from other brands before. I've tried the Kaja ones. I've tried many K-beauty eyeshadow as well in the past. And this, I feel, is supposed to give like K-beauty eyeshadow at the drugstore. That's how I feel like that's what Berry M was going for with this. But I don't really feel we're getting that. The 2 mattes are a little bit dry, a little bit chalky almost, and then the 2 shimmers, they look really pretty in a finger swatch, but they don't really add much. I feel that this shade gives me like Urban Decay Space Cowboy vibes if Space Cowboy had less shimmer. And then the shimmer in the top is probably the best one. It's a great inner corner highlight. You get some really beautiful shadows in here. If you're in a pinch, or if, for instance, you don't like very impactful makeup, then this can be good for every day. I'm not knocking it. It's got merit, but if I compare it to everything else I've ever tried, even from more affordable price points, I feel we can do better. And then I also picked up this. This is the Soundcheck palette from Troublemaker. This is apparently a sub-brand devised by some of the owners from Makeup Revolution. That's what you guys were telling me. I didn't know that. It was just a new to me brand. It's very, not even Gen Z, but very sort of Gen Alpha coded. It's got very vibrant, bright packaging. I don't really feel like I'm their target audience when I stand in front of their console. You know what I mean? So there's definitely that, but the Soundcheck palette caught my eye because, of course, if we're doing a cool tone color story under £5 at the UK drugstore, I have to test it out and ask myself the question, is this as good as the little palettes that Makeup Academy does? So MUA is another UK drugstore brand that does really good, very affordable makeup that you can sometimes find online. I can find some of the palettes from MUA on Notino. So if you're in the EU and Notino has a website in your country, you may be able to find them as well. This was pretty. Again, I got some nice looks out of this, just like with the Berry M. I did 2 looks in total. I did a look with the brown tones and one with the gray tones, you could say. This is a little bit more of a mauvey tone. It's got a really nice purpley undertone. That's the most beautiful shade in this palette, I feel. But nothing in here, just like with the Berry M. The mattes all had like the same sort of level of it was okay, but nothing to write home about type of pigmentation. It felt a little bit loose, a little bit chalky, not that blendable. And then the shimmers in here all have the same different level of payoff. Because this looks more sparkly in the palette, I had expected this purple to give me something differently, but it just kind of looked the same. It does have a really beautiful sort of violet-y blue flash to it in some lighting, but it wasn't as strong as I'm used to with a lot of my indie brands. So again, compared to everything else that I own, Is this beautiful? Yes. Is this something that really adds something new and unique to my makeup collection? No. But if you're in a pinch, this is good makeup. Now I'm going to have to refer you to a video of mine that I filmed using these two products because I forgot to take pictures both of the times that I wore this combo. Who am I? But I did film with this, so if you want to see the look that I ended up doing with the Violette FR and the MAC Extra Dimension in Smoky Mauve, then you can find it. The Violette FR Plume Shadow is in Bois Brulée. This is another product I picked up when I was in the UK in May or end of April, and this is really, really beautiful. You do have to go into this product with the right expectations. This isn't boom kapow in your face pigmented shadow. It's not supposed to be. It's deliberately not made to be that. It's got a weird sort of putty type of formula. You can see the dent that my brush left behind. It's got that sort of squish to it, and then it's more of this cream to powder with this very subtle payoff that you can build up to like this very subtle smoky eye. That's what I like to do with this matte shade. Really pretty. It's a really beautiful like purpley brown sort of undertone to it. It's really beautiful. It looks really deep and intimidating in the pan, but even with just a wash of this all over the lid, you can call it a day if you want to. So this is definitely something new to me. The formula isn't going to be for everyone though. I'm well aware this formula takes a time to play with it to know how it works. I think if I had bought this blindly and like going into it, but because I had already seen this in real life and I had the MUA who was working at the Violette FR counter where I purchased this, I don't think she had that much to do that day, so she was like, do you just want to see some products on? I was like, yeah, sure. So she already used this shade on me, so I knew from having it applied to my face how it would react to brushes and stuff. And I still decided to buy it, so I sort of knew going into it that this was going to be a different formula for me, something different that I hadn't played with much more. But I think if you just saw these online and you just saw swatches, because in a finger swatch, it looks quite intense, but I find that especially with brushes, it doesn't go on as intense as you would expect it to be, perhaps. So I do feel that the marketing on these shades isn't the best, but if you were able to play with these in store and you sort of get a feel for the formula, you can make it work, but that is something that you do want to commit to. And at this price point, because Violette FR is not a cheap brand, you may not want to do that. I'm well aware. And I finally decided to whip it out together with my MAC Smoky Mauve. I already knew the Extra Dimension formula from MAC, so this isn't anything new to me. This is a really pretty, shiny formula. I got this during the Black Friday sale because I've been seeing a creator on TikTok. Her name is Elizabeth. I believe she's from Australia. She's talking about Sweet Heat all the time, and when people ask her for the cool tone version of Sweet Heat, she turns them to this shade, Smoky Mauve. So that's why I got this one. I used to have this really pretty cocky shade from this line, but that one was quite dark, so I would wear it from time to time. It was this green to gold, sort of really beautiful formula. The formula, I feel, hasn't really changed all that much. Even though the Extra Dimension, I also have a couple of the highlighters from the Extra Dimension range, is also more of this like gel to powder sort of texture. So I feel that texture-wise, these shades go together really well. And then also, like shade-wise, they go together really well. So formula, and they're just very complementary. And I now have this nice little duo of shadows that I really enjoy using together. I love that. So this is a nice little curated makeup look. If I'm very lazy and I don't know what to do, I can just whip these out and I'm happy. And then we get to some MONOLITH things. I'm gonna save the most exciting one from last. I get to pick out some MONOLITH products because I am affiliated with them. I can announce already that next Sunday on July 5th is going to be their next drop. My code will therefore be inactive from Thursday, July 2nd until, like, I think it reactivates again the Wednesday after the sale. So if you want to get 5% off of your order, then you can, and their new drop is coming this Sunday. And they already sent me a code again, so I will be picking some things up from that sale. But the last time they did that, I actually picked up these two. These are the Bella Beauté Bar and Freya collab and the Cleric palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. So let's start there. We all know how much I love Fantasy Cosmetica, but they hadn't recently done an eyeshadow color story. that really spark my interest. I only buy from brands if the color story looks exciting for me, like either it's a brand I really love and it's a color story I like, but a lot of the Fantasy Cosmetica color stories were just really warm toned, and I know I'm not going to get to use out of that until they did this. It's not fully cool toned. It's sort of like neutrals with a twist, I would call it. These have a little bit of this like olivey sort of goldeny undertone. In fact, this shimmer in the middle reminds me a lot of that MAC Extra Dimension shade that I used to own in the past. It sort of had this vibe where it's like a goldy green, but I love these two shades. And then you have these like grayish toned sort of green shades to match with it. So I did a look with these 4 shades, and then I did a look with these 5 shades. And as you can see here, the bottom row is sort of blue themed. So we have a really nice navy matte, and then this like purpley blue. It's like a blurple but softer. It's really pretty. It's called Devotion. And then Omen is a really beautiful multi-chrome. It's this like blue, green, sort of purpley flash to it. It's not a super unique one in the sense that I feel we get this kind of multi-chrome from other brands, but it ties the entire palette together because of the flip, it goes with the blue shades, but it could also go with the green shades this has. I call these greens. I know they don't look that green, but they have this, like, they're browns, but with a very green sort of yellow undertone, you could say. And then we have a matte white, and we have a matte, like a shimmering white, I should say. Really beautiful. It goes together really well. You could do so many other renditions with this palette. You could go with this quad. You could just like pull these into this if you want it to be more smoky. You could put the greens with the blues. That's something I haven't even played with yet. I can just see so many more options with this palette, which is why when I saw this color story, I was like, Fantasy Cosmetica, one of my favorite brands, together with a color story after my heart. So you knew I was gonna love it. Love the blues in here. It's got some wonderful things in. And then what is on my eyes today is the Bella Beauté Bar and Freya collab. This is the Yin and Yang palette. And this is really beautiful. I didn't use the cake liner that it comes with because I'm just not really good at using those. I'm just not really a graphic eyeliner kind of girly, so I could use them potentially as like bases, but it's not really something that I need with shades like this. So this is a really, really beautiful cool tone color story. This could go, like, this is definitely a contender for my top 10 favorite eyeshadow palettes of the year, just by the color story alone. The thing that knocks it down for me is the formula of the shimmers. These shimmers, they're beautiful. I mean, I'm wearing, like I did a look today with these 6 shades here, and then I did a look with these 6 shades, and I did a look with these 7 shades. So really beautiful. You have the potential to do a smoky eye with this. It can go very nice and light as well. What I don't love about these shimmers is that they are very difficult to pick up with a brush. You have to use fingers, which I'll gladly do that. But for instance, with the holographic shade here in the middle that I'm wearing today, I felt that I lost the sparkliness of the shadow that I can see in real life the minute I use it with a finger. I had the same issue with that shade right above it. It's almost as if the warmth of my fingers like mixes the shade together in such a way that I get more of the base shade than I do of the pretty sparkles. So what I actually did to get it to look a little bit more sparkly on my lids is to go over it with a fluffy but firm brush to sort of buff it in like you would when you shine a piece of silver or like another metal piece in your house. Like if you have jewelry that you like to shine up, like when you buff it in, that's when the shine comes through. So that's the technique that I use with this, just to get it to look a little bit more sparkly and alive on my lids. I found because of the formula that a lot of the really beautiful, very sparkly things that you see in here stopped looking as sparkly and intense and beautiful and whimsical as it did once it was on my lids. So that was a bit of a bummer, but buffing it in, blending it out a little bit more with a brush does bring the sparkle back, but I feel it's still not as intense as they look here in the pan, which is a bit of a shame. So I wish it was a little bit better at doing that. It's got a beautiful multi-chrome here. It's this really dark sort of beetle kind of shade, I would say. There is another split pan with 2 different sparkly shades. These were really pretty. I really enjoyed that. The look that I did using these shade, I tried to sort of do the kind of techniques that I see Freya do. She is a creator that I do follow on TikTok from time to time, and she does a lot of like just like pressing things on and layering things together. So that's what I did. It ended up looking like a bruise on me, but that's sort of the vibe she does seem to go for. So maybe it's just something I'm not used to seeing on myself as much. That could be the case. But yeah, I do really like this. It's got beautiful mattes. The shimmers in here are stunning, but I do feel that because every single shimmer in here has the same sort of very emollient sort of formula, if that's not your jam, if you're prone to creasing, you may not like this as much. It's not as, like last year we got the, what was it called? Not the Smoky Glam, the other one, the more neutrally one. Unoriginal Nudes, that's the name of it. And those glitters would like stick down and you couldn't do anything with them anymore, which again, from a glitter standpoint, that's fine, but therefore it wasn't my favorite. And in here, I feel we go the opposite direction. We go to these really creamy, very emollient shades that are very difficult to pick up with a brush. And then when you do apply them with a finger, there's so much product there that it loses the effect of the shadow, which is a bit of a shame. I feel that these shades look better in the pan than they do on the lids, but it's a beautiful color story. I'm not gonna knock it for that. And finally, we need to chat about Epic Beauty. So this palette you can buy in a myriad of ways. This is launched by the owners of MONOLITH, but it is its own separate brand. So even though this is sold through the MONOLITH website, you can also get this through Epic Beauty, and there I also have a code. It's the same one. I'll pop it up on the screen again, but you can go to epicbeauty.com and get this palette as well. So far, it's the only product they are selling, so I hope they are going to expand. And this was my favorite palette I tried all month, which I hadn't expected, because when I got this in, the Jewels of Eternity, this didn't, like, it has beautiful shades in, but I felt it looked really disjointed, and it didn't look like something that I would want. And then I played with it, and then I did some looks with it, and you guys were also complimenting me on one of the eye looks that I did with this. So this is a really, really beautiful color story. It kind of, like, it's sort of like split into 2. You have jewel tones, it's Jewels of Eternity, so you get a lot of jewel tones in here, but you sort of have this purpley pink side and then this bluish green side, and they do sort of mix and match as well, so I like that. The pinks in here are a little bit like peachy rosy tones, so I knew that wasn't going to be my favorite, but I did really enjoy quite a few of these shades. I was able to do like a green base look, a more blue base look, a purpley look. There were so many looks I could do with this. This is really, really beautiful. This also has really emollient shimmers though. So if that's not your cup of tea, if you know those are gonna crease on you, you may not want to use this. But here's the thing. With how emollient these were, I fully expected them to crease on me. Something like these like multi-chromes that you get in here, and also this like, do you see that? It's got this like multi-tone to it in the pan already. But that translates to the lid, and once it had a little bit of time to set down, it sets down and it doesn't budge. This wasn't as prone to creasing as I had feared upon feeling the formula for the first time. I'm not sure what's in here, but this is some of the best, very pigmented eyeshadow I've ever been able to use. It's pigmented, but blendable. Creamy, yet really beautiful. You can apply it with brushes, you can apply it with fingers, it blends out still, and then it still lasts on your lids all day, and it's super impactful at the same time. This is the kind of indie makeup where I'm like, yup, they just do it better. If you haven't tried indie brands before, I believe this does retail for around 75 euros, so it's up there in price. But if you were looking to splurge, or if you want to try a different type of indie makeup formula, because I also feel because a lot of indie brands nowadays like get their formulas from China. This one was made in China as well, right? Yeah, it was made in China as well. But because they all buy it there, I feel that the differences between indie brands have gotten smaller over time. But with this, the minute I started playing with it, I was like, ooh, they're onto something here. This is different from other brands that I've played with. It's impactful, it's beautiful, it wears all day. Yes, to Epic Beauty. And I don't just say this because it was sent to me. I really strongly believe that this is one of the best formulas I've ever played with. And that's coming from someone who's tried thousands of eyeshadow palettes in their lifetime. This is a good one. There you have it. Those are the eyeshadow palettes that I reviewed for you in June. Come back for my July review, because of course I will be playing with some more new to me eyeshadow palettes in the month of July. And then I will review them for you and show you all the swatches and show you all the looks. And in case you don't know, I do try every single eyeshadow in every single palette I review. So there's that. So I know not everybody does that, but I like trying out every single pen, save for in the Bella Beauté bar. The cake liner is not my thing. I just knew that going into the palette, but yeah. Beautiful eyeshadows for sure. So if you like, stay tuned and come back for more, and then I hope to see you in my next one. Bye-bye.